Hello, everybody. This is Faris.
And this is Caleb Flournoy, and welcome to another episode of Conversations with the Homecare Guyz.
Guys, guess what? He's back. He's back in the building. Caleb, how you feeling, man?
Man, I am feeling well, Faris. I'm just so happy to be back here. You know, COVID had me for a blow. Mm-hmm. This is actually my third time having COVID.
Good God almighty, brother.
I don't know.
You're a three-time MVP.
I am a three-time overcomer. Yeah, I'm a three-time MVP. But I'm actually, I'm feeling better. Luckily, my symptoms and my signs has really not been just like worse. It hasn't really been bad symptoms. So it's been, it's been just like really mild. I had some chills and some muscle aches, and a lot of congestion. But other than that, I'm breathing. I wasn't in the hospital.
That's a blessing, man.
I took some different herbs, ashwagandha. I took some lemon balm. Mucinex really helped me out with my congestion.
Good.
And just got rest. And I took that time to really kind of just get rested with what I needed. Yeah.
Man, that's amazing. And it's amazing, brother, like while you were gone, of course, I had to hold down the home front with the Homecare Guyz. And I appreciate you all. I appreciate y'all tuning in, guys. Hey, it is like, it's great when you can have a partner on set that you can kind of communicate with, because when you're talking directly just to the camera with no dialogue, it's kind of different. So we're excited about having you back on set, man. A lot has happened since you've been away. Man, we lost an amazing actress, Betty White. Her career spanned decades, Caleb.
Oh, I love Betty White.
Decades. Man, I love Betty White on The Golden Girls, brother. That was just an amazing show.
I remember one episode that Betty White did, and it was on My Wife and Kids with Tisha Campbell Martin and Dwayne's. And so she did an episode where she was like Mary Poppins, and so it was so good. She is like the most phenomenal actress, and for her to do act all these years, like she really acted pretty much until her last years of life, because I remember her still getting roles.
Yes.
But that episode that she did, what she did was she was Mary Poppins, and Tisha Campbell actually, they had to hire a nanny while she was working. Tisha was out on vacation or something. She went away. And so Betty White came in, and she was just making different dishes, and she did all of the chores at the best level. And just, it was just like, they did not miss Tisha. But when Tisha came back, Tisha she got a little jealous. And she was like, okay, Betty, not Betty, whoever the nanny was, we're going to have to compete with the dessert. And so Tisha made her favorite dessert, which was great. And then Betty White said was something missing, and everybody agreed. And she went in her little secret stash and did like this, and then everybody like, that's it. So, Betty White, we salute you. We thank you for your many years of just bringing laughter to our lives and to many families across America.
Exactly, and it's amazing. People are put on earth for a reason, and I believe that she truly fulfilled her purpose. And I think that, like I said, she'll be celebrated many years. And I think her legacy will continue to live on as well.
Right. So we have great memories for women.
Yeah, man. So what did you do for what else? New Year's happened. What did you do for New Year's, man?
New Year's. Okay, so one thing I did do is so while I did have COVID, I did go away. So I went to the mountains for a couple of days just to kind of get away from the city. Yeah. And so I went to near Helen, Georgia. Have you been to Helen, Georgia?
Yeah.
Helen, Georgia is like a different world.
Yes.
It's like Germantown. Yep. It's like a Germantown. And so I got a cabin a couple of miles from Helen, and it was very beautiful. Overlooked, it just had a hot tub. It was like the scenery was beautiful, and I did some hiking and just kind of really explored the nature. Got one with nature while I was with COVID. So that's what I did. But New Year's, I pretty much kind of stayed in the home and stayed in the house. My partner and I made some collard greens, black eyed peas, and all those traditional meals that you're supposed to make in order to be successful for the new year. So we did all of these things, and that's what we did. How about you? What did you do for New Year's?
New Year's Day, we just really relaxed, Caleb. One thing that I'm really taking a lot of conscious efforts on is just my relaxation time. Right. Really just relaxing, being with the family. I know we didn't really get out the house on New Year's Day. We just really relaxed, watched some movies, ate a little bit, just really enjoyed the family time. And I like the simple things like that in life. I really enjoy it. We did a lot of moving throughout the December month. So New Year's, we just relaxed, brother. And I'm super excited about just getting into this 22, man.
Man, 2022 is about to be bananas. I'm really excited about it. You know, we wrote our goals in October. I'm just all about executing now. I'm all about executing our goals and making sure that we follow through. And so today's topic, we're going to talk about a very interesting topic, which is how to massively change your life in 6 months. You know, and so I want you to know that your life can change in 6 months. Literally, I have seen lives change. I've seen my life change in 6 months. And so we're going to give you 3 tips on how to change your life.
Yeah. And Caleb, one thing I want everyone to realize that when it comes to change, everyone has their own definition of things that they desire to have changed in their lives. Right. But one thing we're gonna do today, we're gonna give practical tools that individuals, they can do a self-assessment of themselves to go through and say, hey, this is one area I would like to go through and see that change. And I believe that it's almost like the domino effect. Once you knock down that one domino, the rest of them can't help but to go through and actually fall if they're placed accordingly. If you put too much gap between dominoes, guess what? You'll knock one down and another won't fall down. But I think these massive change steps that we're going to talk about today is going to go through and help as well.
So this episode is for anyone that wants to change their life in 6 months. It's for anyone that has a job, or even if you don't have a job, you can relate to this episode here. And so have you ever, let me pose a question. Have you ever been on a job that had to let you go? I remember, especially years ago when I was in high school, we had this big manufacturing company called Ream Manufacturing.
Yes.
And
I worked there.
Yeah. And so Ream Manufacturing, they did air conditioned parts and things of that sort. And so they used to have seasons where they let people go. Yeah. And so that used to be always a detrimental time, especially for friends that had parents that working at the job, and they will all often talk about that. And so I want you to know this, especially in order to change your life. You know, I personally look at jobs as there's a blessing in jobs, but you always want to find some security in having your own. And so one thing that I would encourage you, especially if you want to change your life, don't find security in a job. You know, you have to really build, you have to, you know, be in a place and position yourself that, you know, you want to ultimately hold the ultimate security for yourself and for your family. And so don't find the security in a job, but thank God and appreciate your job, but you want to make sure you have security. And so we're going to show you some ways how to get that.
Exactly. And one thing I would just kind of piggyback on that is there is a time and season for everything. Right. When it comes to different jobs, there's a blessing to have jobs. There's also a blessing to be a student while you're on the job to go there and learn the necessary tools. Because Caleb, it's just the fact that everyone is not going to be an entrepreneur. Just to put it out there, everyone's not going to be an entrepreneur. But also, you have to realize that people, while they're in their season, you can learn things that can go through and actually take you light years ahead of where you are going towards as well. So Caleb, one thing I would like to kind of pose a question is, as we're entering into New Year, this is January, most people go through and actually write out their New Year's resolutions. Right. Like that's something that's coming. Okay, well, I want to do this and I want to do this. I'm going to change the way I eat. I'm going to go to the gym more. I'm going to save more. Whatever those particular resolutions people have, they like to go through and make them in the New Year. And I would just encourage you, when it comes to making changes in your life, it's not a particular time in your life, or it's not a particular month of the year that you have to make the changes. The change starts right here.
That's powerful right there, what you just said. You know, most people wait to the new year. You know, they wait 5 months. Ooh, I'm just going to change my diet January the 1st. So I'm going to start that business January the 1st. You know, it's all about your mindset. You know, it's about, you know, what you have between these 6 inches of your ears. You know, some of it got 9 inches and 12, but whatever between you is, it's a mental change. It's a mental shift. And so you have to realize that in order to change your life, it starts with your thinking.
Exactly. And so regardless if it's going through and actually deciding the thought process of deciding, okay, I'm going to eat better, I'm going to lose weight, I'm going to go through and get a better job, I'm going to start a business, I'm going to go through and save more, whatever that thought process is that you have to, first of all, you have to realize that you have to go through and actually make some drastic steps. So Caleb, I want to go through and actually have you jump into tip 1, man, of these drastic steps that have to be taken.
Okay, well, in order to change your life, you have to go in and you have to disappear. You have to disappear for 6 months. You know, I have heard a success story, especially Alex Good Energy. You know, I have heard his story about how he has built this trucking empire and he's helping so many people get in the trucking game. And so he said, you know, when he was going through and when he was trying to, you know, figure out life, he disappeared. He stayed with his mother or stayed with some friends, and he literally just disappeared from the face of the earth to create the life that he wanted. And so he knew that he couldn't go out to the club and he couldn't go out and hang around friends every day if he's really trying to change your life.
Correct.
And so I want to talk to you today, and I want to let you know that in order to really change your life, you have to make a decision. And that decision starts with your thoughts, but it's ultimately saying, you know what, I'm going to do something right now that I'm going to do something right now that's going to change my life. And it may be uncomfortable to some. It may be like really like, cliche for others, but you have to do it. And so he made a decision, and he said, you know what, I'm just going to be focused for 6 months or be focused for a year. I'm just going to focus on myself. I'm going to focus on how I want to create my life. And so I would say that. So you have to completely remove yourself from the face of the earth. You have to start that journey of faith and rewire yourself, rewire your thinking.
Yeah. Hey everybody, this is Faris. I want to come to you really quickly to tell you about this new program that's hitting Georgia like a wildfire. This program is called Structured Family Caregiving. This program allows for family caregivers to get paid to care for their loved ones. If you're currently caring for your loved one and you want to go through and ensure that they get the best quality care, give us a call at 478-345-0523 and sign up for the Structured Family Caregiving Program. And Caleb, one thing I would recommend for individuals when they disappear, it's like when I know everybody's so used to going through and actually getting those alerts on the phone in the middle of the night when someone abducts a child or a child goes missing. When that child's missing, that child cannot be found.
Right.
So many times we'll go through and make a confession, or we'll go through and say we're going to disappear, but we're so accessible to everybody. When you're in this point of life where change is inevitable and that you desire to go through and do something great with your life, you really have to go through and make a decision to go through and actually disappear. You really have to go through and say, hey, I'm going to be gone, because now it's the time for me to go through and focus on me. And so that means you have to take an inventory. This is one tip, to go through and actually take an inventory of your life to see what aligns with where you are or what's aligned with where you're going as well. And for Caleb, for some reason, those people that are not in alignment, you have to go through and take a vacation from them as well.
Right. Take an inventory of the people you hang around with.
Yes.
And like, I like what you said, vacation from them, just put them to the side and be like, we still friends, we still cool, but I just need to take a moment for myself. Also take an inventory of what you listen and what you watching.
Wow.
I started to listen to a lot of podcasts. I listen to a lot of business development things that I want to kind of learn. I'm also trying to learn more about stocks. And so I'm trying to listen and engage in that. So take an inventory of what you're listening to and what you watch. And lastly, start developing new habits that work toward your goals. You have to start developing that.
And Caleb, I think those habits, like even the habits of what you listen to, what you watch, those habits compounded over a period of time, that's what makes the difference. That's one thing that I see, that a lot of times we don't watch what we consume, or we watch what we consume, but we don't consciously watch what we consume. Meaning we watch things on TV and we realize that, okay, well, hey, if I'm watching murders all day long, of course, that's probably building up anxiety. Or watching the news. I'm gonna give you an example. Watching the news all day long, they're talking about the world's coming to an end, COVID's coming to take everybody out and everything. If you're just consuming yourself with the same thing over and over and over and over, what you consume is what you become.
Right.
And so I consciously watch what I consume. I'm about like, I listen to a lot of podcasts. I listen to a lot of developmental things, not only business wise, spiritual wise, financial wise, because I'm in a phase of developing myself.
Yes.
And when you make a conscious effort on that, that's how you go through and rewire yourself. Because when you're growing up, you're just taught to do the same thing that your mom and dad did.
Right.
And it's acceptable because that's what they did to get to where they are. But if you're on a journey to go through and change your life massively in 6 months, you have to do something different.
And you have to really kind of do the complete opposite, the complete opposite of what you're doing. And so right now, like I'm in a space right now that I want to evaluate every day. Like, what did I do today better than I did yesterday?
Yeah.
Even if it's a conversation, did I have grace with others? Did I pretty much show love and show respect to, my colleagues or whoever I'm speaking to? Like, what did I do on a day-to-day basis? And I have to always remember to provide grace for myself.
Wow.
Sometimes to a point where we can beat ourselves up and we like, well, we're not at a different, we're at a, this person has probably, just say spiritually, this person has, read more scriptures or know more word than I do, and so we're beating ourselves up on that. Well, I'm not like that, but you have to think about and appreciate where you are. Where you are now is miles away or centuries from where you were. And so I want you to know that you have to have grace for yourself, but in order to rewire yourself, you have to really kind of think about, doing the complete opposite if you want to change your life. Think about your finances, think about your business, think about your relationships, think about your health. Think about all these different things.
Yeah. And one thing when it comes to this, is tip number 2 is to rewire yourself.
Right.
If you think about just the process of rewiring anything, like sometimes we may live in a house and it may have a shortage or lightning may strike a house. You have to go through and rewire it. The purpose of rewiring is to go through and actually connect what's supposed to happen to what needs to happen as well.
That's and so right there, prayer.
Man, and that's one thing is over the next 6 months, I'm going to go through and recommend you get very, very clear. Get very clear on what you want out of life, because for you to rewire yourself, you have to know what you're going to connect yourself to and what you're not going to connect yourself to.
Right.
So if your goal is to go through and be this person in 6 months or this person in 5 years, you have to go through and be very clear of what you want out of life. You have to also realize what's holding you back from getting you what you want as well.
Come on now.
Because in the rewiring process, you may have to go through and get some cobwebs out the way. You may have to go through and go through and say, I don't need this right here, but I need that.
Yes.
And in doing so, you have to go through and be willing to go through and actually part ways as well. That's a part of the rewiring process, is saying, you know what, this is what I need, this is what I don't need.
Yeah. And some wire in the wall needs to be removed.
Yes.
Wow. Because in order to put the new stuff, in order for have the current to really kind of go through the electricity, go through the current, it has to connect. It has to connect to good wire.
Exactly. And the rewiring process is really kind of wiring it up to the person you're becoming in 6 months. So that's the rewiring. You're right here, but you want to become here. It's just like an electrician. When they go in, they have to go in and fish that wire to the part they're going to connect to.
Right.
So the same thing with us in our lives as well. We have to realize where we're going and make that connection.
Wow.
We have to go through the conduit and through the wall, and we have to go through it, but we have to go through it. And so if we know where we're going, we know where we're not going as well.
Exactly.
So if we're going for financial freedom, we know that the opposite of financial freedom is financial ruin or financial irresponsibility.
Right.
And so that means, okay, I can't go out with my homeboys, my homegirls as much as I can't eat out as much as I want. I can't go through and spend frivolously. If you know that you want to it's like almost like if you want to graduate from college, guess what? You have to go to class. You have to put in the work. That's a part of the rewiring process, is get a clear picture of what your future looks like.
Well, and I'm going to tell you one thing, Faris. There's something called future pacing. Have you heard of future pacing?
No.
Okay, so future pacing is, when you're talking about that clear picture, so you already envision where you are in the future, right? So say if you figure out what kind of car you want, the income you want, your job, your lifestyle, what you want your life to become. And so future pacing is writing a story of how you got to where you are before you got there. And so that's what I would encourage all of our viewers and listeners is definitely do some future pacing. Figure out and be the avatar, find the avatar of what you want your life to be like, okay? And then figure out a way, and you write a plan. Well, if it's going to take you 3 months or 6 months or a year or 5 years, okay, this is my life. I'm going to be driving this. I'm going to be working this way. I'm going to be successful. I'm going to go through law school. I'm going to graduate college, whatever it is. You write out that life, and then you figure out, you write a story of how you got there. And so how I got there, how I became a lawyer, I applied to law school at Vanderbilt. I did this, I did that, and I got this and this, whatever it is. And you create the story of how you got to the future. And that's what's called future pacing.
I like that, Caleb.
And then with that, you envision, because you're going to write it and you're going to edit that story over and over and over. And ultimately, you're writing your goals and a clear picture of how you get into your goals.
That kind of reminds me of, Caleb, just like it kind of reminds me of my journey that I have taken, and I'm still on, I'm taking as well, is currently operating the role as the CEO of Prime Care Homecare Service, our healthcare organization, which we currently serve as over 1,000 individuals. Like we have 1,000 team members throughout the whole state of Georgia. That's a lot. But to become a CEO of a large organization, it took a lot along the way. So while I was rewiring myself to get to where I am today, there's some high skilled tools that I had to go through and actually put into place to prepare me for right now. Because one thing I'm going to encourage you as well is, as you go, and I'm going to talk about it from a business perspective, regardless if you're talking about from the health perspective, finance perspective, physical fitness perspective, whatever it is, I'm going to talk about it from a business perspective. I realized as the CEO, Caleb, I had to go through and actually learn a little bit more to actually walk into the to the correct shoes of the CEO, not just to go through and call myself a CEO. I had to go through and learn high value things. I had to understand marketing. Right. I had to learn it on a high level. I had to go through and understand how to write advertisements. I had to go through and learn how to go through and run Facebook ads. I had to go through and learn leadership. I had to go through and actually a lot of things that along the journey of rewiring ourselves, you need to go through and actually invest that time in. So over the next 6 months, while
high income skills.
High income skills. So, so as over the next 6 months that transformation is happening, one thing I would encourage each and every one of you, whichever camera, I'm gonna look at this camera right here. I'm gonna encourage each and every one of you to go in and assess your skill set. So regardless if you're a baker, regardless if you own a car wash, regardless if you own a home care agency, regardless if you're a banker, regardless if you're working on a job for an organization or not, assess your skill sets and go through and choose one high earning or high value skill and start to delve deep in that. Because what's going to happen is later on down the line where you see yourself in 6 months or 5 years, that skill set is going to be mandatory. It's going to be a requirement for you to stay where you are as well. So that's one thing I would definitely suggest as you go on the road of transformation as well.
And I'm gonna give you some additional skill sets, Faris. I know we actually wrote down a few earlier about high income skills, and these are skills that, especially with any entrepreneur, any business person that have, these are some skill sets that you need to have and need to know. And so some of the skill sets is while you're creating yourself and changing the life that you want, if you become so these skills, people will pay thousands of dollars in order to get someone on their team or to learn these skills, or they will pay for these services. And so with creating yourself, learn some of these skills. First one is how to run Facebook ads. That's important. Writing articles. You can get good at SEO, make YouTube videos, set up a Shopify store, get e-commerce. You definitely want to get into the e-commerce business. Create an Etsy account. If you're making jewelry or anything like that, create an Etsy account. Sponsorships on Instagram. Get your influence marketing on social media, and sponsorships. Facebook, YouTube. You have to learn a skill that will be easily transferable in your business. And it's just like what Faris was saying is these skills right here, we have to actually utilize at least some of these skills in our business now that has allowed us to grow this as a large organization, and we'll continue to grow. So I would encourage you guys to continue to learn those high income skills as you build yourself up and change your life.
Exactly. And Caleb, one thing, we're going to go into tip 3. We're going to go through and actually hit into overdrive. We're going to put this thing in 5th gear. So I don't know if you're ready to rock and roll and move kind of quick, but tip 3 is to go through and develop your roadmap and stay in the driver's seat.
Right.
Develop the roadmap and stay in the driver's seat. This means going through and practicing discipline. Developing a roadmap means going through and actually having a blueprint of where you're going through and developing those high value skills, eliminating people that are not supposed to be in your circle, going through and actually being focused on the things you need to focus on, watching the right podcast or listen to the right podcast instead of going through and actually putting a lot of garbage in your mind. It is developing. That's the part of developing a roadmap. And that's one thing that you have to go through and do is be clear of what road is going to take you to where you're going.
Right.
And what road is not going to take you to where you're going. And those roads is not going to take you. Don't go down those roads. Those roads are going to take them. Stay in the driver's seat on that road and watch things happen, Caleb. So any input on that, man?
Well, yeah, I think developing a roadmap is so important. I would definitely develop a roadmap for not just a short term, but like a 5-year roadmap. You have to think with the end in mind. And so just think long term with that roadmap. I would, definitely develop the places that you want to travel. And I would think general stuff too, because it's not just focused on business. When you're creating the life that you want, you can be so focused on, this is how I want my business to look, etc. Yes, that's going to happen, but also think about your life, because those 5 years or those 3 years that you're creating a business, you also want to live a life.
Yes.
You want to have some time for yourself. And so you want to think about not only the business aspect, but do a category of your personal life, where you want to live, where you want to travel, what foods you want to try, how do you want your relationship with your friends, what activities you want to do.
Yes.
What are some bucket list activities? And so I would just definitely do that. And then if you do those things, you're definitely going to change your life completely.
And one thing I would say in closing as well is during this change process, you have to be nimble and willing enough to realize that change is going to happen. And even the blueprint that we have, be willing to go through and pivot a little bit. Be willing to go through and realize that it's going to change 5 million times. Like you're going to change, you're going to go through and change. You may find interest in one thing, you may not find interest in the other, but be willing to go through and realize that that's the journey that you own. And once you go through and actually become the person that you desire, that you see in your mind, I mean, it's just amazing. You'll be celebrated. I know you'll celebrate yourself as well.
And I want to say this, Faris, you know, when you're changing your life, you have to be okay with change.
Yes.
You have to be okay with like things don't work out the way.
Yes.
Your roadmap or your future pacing is going to change.
Yep.
You know, you're going to, you know, you may say, well, I want to get accepted to this school, but ultimately you got accepted to this school. It's going to change. It's okay. But keep it going because it's a part of your story. And so I just look at our journey, especially in healthcare affairs, how we have evolved from our mother's living room to now owning a facility, which was our old school. Went from a little small 300 square foot living room to a 21,000 square foot facility. For our headquarters. And so there has been many changes that has happened within our organization, within our lives. And so we just embrace change. Change is so common. Like we end up changing the studio set. It's all about change is great. And so you want to make sure that you, if you have to be okay with change. You have to be okay with change.
Exactly, man. I think we're definitely okay with change. We're devoted to change. I think that's the type of organization that we have. That's the type of people that we keep around us, of people that realize that if you're around Caleb and Faris, around the Flournoys, be willing to go through and change, because nothing, when I say our core is our core, but the road to getting to where we are, we're able to go through and adjust, and we don't get easily shook down by change as well.
I kind of like change though. But believe it or not, I like change. I like spontaneity. I like being spontaneous. You know, even in relationships and personal relationships, like doing the same thing over and over, being mundane, like eating, cooking, that's boring to me. But if you go out there and say, oh, well, we're gonna jump from the airplane. Okay, I'm like, let's go. What we trying to do? We're going to hike, you know, hike the Appalachian Trail, whatever it is. I love change. And so I want you to be open to it.
Yep. Well, guys, hey, this has been another great episode of Conversations with the Homecare Guyz. We hope and pray that you have massive change in your life, not only just in 2022, but also just in your life in years to come as well. Go back and rewatch this video. Go back and re-listen to this video, to this podcast, because I'm sure that you're going to pick up some gems, some nuggets that's going to go through and actually catapult you on your way to change as well. So it's been great, Caleb. Also, if you want to go through and follow us, definitely make sure you click the like button, go through and click the subscribe button, go through and find us on Spotify. It's Conversations with the Homecare Guyz with a Z. Actually, Caleb, the other day I looked at it on my television. It was pretty cool. It was pretty neat seeing myself up there.
Right.
But find Conversations with the Homecare Guyz, and go through, check some past episodes, and go through. We look forward to hearing from you and you tuning in each week.
Have a good day.